My name is Ada Marie Walks Quietly, and my married name is Red Horse. And I grew up alongside Grand River, west of Bullhead, and about 21 miles south of Watauga. And I lived there until I was 25 years old. Then I moved around a lot. I only know my grandmother, both grandmothers, and one of my grandfather. The other one died before my mother was married. So what they usually talk to me and tell me stories and stuff and things like that. And my parents have horses and cattle, so I used to round up the cattle and horses, and then they cut hay for winter, so I usually help out too. And we have chickens. And one of my grandmother died when I was about 2.5 years old, but I remember her well. Her name is Tekla Samtin. And then my grandfather died in July, same year, when I was 3 years old. And then I lost my other grandmother when I was about 12 years old. And I lost my mother when I was 24 years old. That's when I moved around a lot. And then last time we lived at Isabel, South Dakota, and from there we moved to McIntosh, South Dakota. And we lived there about 4 years, and then I came to school over here in United Tribes. July of 70. And I graduated November 1971. And I worked here at the United Tribes 4 years. And then I got a job with the Department of Transportation as a clerk. I graduated as a counselor, but I took a clerical job. And I worked there 15.5 years and retired back in June '91. And so I made Bismarck my home. What if?
Do you have any stories you'd like to share about living out in the country with your family?
Grandparents' stories, or? Yeah, I heard a lot of stories, but I couldn't remember most of them. And the one that I want to share is my grandfather Waxquatter's brother named George Running Hawk. When he was a boy, I don't know how old, but anyway, he went hunting with an uncle, and that's before winter. So the uncle left him on the hill, and told him to sit there. So he sat there waiting, and pretty soon the sun going down. So he was cold, so he went down, and here he found a hole. So he went in, and that where the wolf lived there, I guess. And then he saw some cubs there, 2 of them. And then towards evening, I guess, the mother wolf and father wolf came back. And mother wolf lay inside the door, and then the father wolf in the hole towards outside. And later on, maybe a couple of days, they came back. They went someplace. They came back in here. The father wolf, I don't know which one, anyway, came in motion to go outside, so he went outside, and here they brought him a deer. They killed a deer. But he's got knives, so he cut it up, and he roasted. He know how to build a fire. He roasted and ate it. So he stayed with them through winter. And in spring, finally again they came back, and the father wolf said, tomorrow you're going to see your people. So next day he followed them, and he went up the hill, and the father wolf went after him. He looked through 4 directions. Then he looked down and then he just walked away. So he went to that hill and below there he saw the teepees. And then there's 2 horseback. He saw 2 horseback and they come over and he said they really smelled bad after he's leaving with the booth. So he told them not to come near. Told them to go home, and he went a teepee by himself and then smudged sage, and he told them to do the same. So after that, I guess he understand the wolf. Whenever it's going to be bad weather, then they told him. I mean that he hear them. That's the end of it. It's a kind of short story.
That was your grandfather's brother?
Yeah.
George Runninghoff?
Mm-hmm.
And your grandfather's name was?
Herbert walks quietly.
Herbert.
Walks quietly.
Walks.
Walks quietly.
Were there any stories that your mother shared with you, or your grandmother?
They do, but I don't remember. Anyway, what the advice they gave me, that only man folks smoke. They use pipe, but nowadays the ladies smoke too. And my grandmother told me that the liquor is just for the man folks too. And then discipline, they don't have that. They usually talk to the kids. The grandparents talk to the grandchildren, or else the ladies. The mother usually teach the girl, and then the father teaches the boy. And then if they need help, then the grandparents talk to them too. They're supposed to give advice generation to generation, but it's kind of stopped too.
So did you have a chance for your grandmother to share with you how a young girl behaves?
Yeah. What's that?
Those are some of the things we're hoping that you might share so that today's young people can understand their role better. The respect and the quietness, it came natural, but today it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there's anything at all that you can remember of that nature, that would be appreciated so they can hear that.
They have to listen to the parents and grandparents if they talk to them. Listen carefully too. I never did, but it's still with me when I grow up. And they told me to respect people, especially elderly. Never to hurt anybody, because it's going to get back to me, I guess.
So did they teach you about quietness in
Yeah.
Nila?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of things did they share? Any stories or any instructions about Inila?
Yeah. A long time ago, I don't know how they do, but they keep the babies quiet too because of enemies around. But they learn. I guess the children are smart or something. They learn well. And also, when the father went hunting, then his children are supposed to be quiet. The grandparents said that they might chase the game away.
so what kind of things did you do in the summertime? Did your family have a garden?
Yes.
Maybe you could share some of the things you went out gathering in the summer and some of the things you did in the summertime.
Yeah, we usually have visitors, and we don't have very expensive toys, but we made our own. We made rag dolls and play with it. And then we use a tire, push them in a running, push them. And we did play baseball. And if the visitors have a saddle horse, then we just ride around. And there's the church gatherings too.
And so your family went to church. What church did they go to
Episcopal
in Grand River?
Episcopal Church. My mother's Catholic, but she joined the Episcopal.
And was that the same school you attended then when you went to school? Did you
I
go
went
to an Episcopal boarding school?
No, it's art and country, so it's a country school that I go to. So when I was 7th grade, I just dropped out because the school where I go to closed. So I go to another school, but I didn't like it, and I have to stay with some people, so I quit. But before I came to school over here, I took up GED and passed. Then I came to school at United Tribes.
And so Lakota was always spoken in your house?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did your parents or your grandparents know any of the English language?
Well, before I went to school, my mother had some books, so I used to read them. She helped me read it, but then the hard words, when people come around, and I ask them, and they teach me how. So I kind of teach myself.
So you were reading books and learning before you ever went to the country school, huh?
Yeah, and that's the funny thing, but my parents are overprotective too, so they wouldn't let me go to boarding school or anything. So I didn't go to school until I was 13 years old. So they put me in 2nd grade at about 2 months later. And then 3rd grade, and when I was 4th grade, I learned 5th grade too. And then 6th grade, and then when I went into 7th grade, that's when I dropped out.
And so your earliest learning then was by your own parents at home?
Yeah.
So when you went to school at age 13, you already knew English then, and you probably knew how to read and write it, huh?
Yes, that's why they put me in 2nd grade in 2 months.
2 months. Graduated from the 1st grade in 2 months, huh?
Yeah.
And so that was an easier way of learning then, at home.
Yes.
Your mother believed in education.
Mm-hmm.
So then you went through all 7 years in just a year or 2, huh?
Yeah.
What was school like then when you did go to country school? Did you enjoy?
Yes. The we kind of all mixed in the 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 5th grade, and one of 7th grade. So recess is a lot of fun because we always play around. We play ball.
And who were your teachers?
Well, the first one is Rose Tumac. She's from Asboy, I think, South Dakota, for 2 years, and then Dorothy Perchaski and Sophie Manidis. She's from Liligo.
So the country school at Grand River, they had some of the teachers were Indian teachers?
Just that one from Liligo.
They may have had more compassion and patience and kindness than some of the boarding schools, maybe.
Yeah.
That's good.
I want to go to boarding school, but my parents wouldn't let me. Like I said, they're overprotective.
It was difficult for some of the young children to go to boarding school, so you're probably protected.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you went to church, was that kind of an all-day affair when you would go to the Episcopal Church?
It's just, I think, one hour in the morning by 11 o'clock until 12, and then people brought food, so then we all eat together.
And what was it like at Grand River? Maybe you can describe to us what that area looked like when you were a small girl growing up. The trees and the river and everything around you.
Yes, there's trees and the river and the hills. And there's right close to us is that field where they plant corn and oats, I think. And then the garden is down below us. So when I was able, I usually carry water down there in a wagon with a can, water the garden. I probably made about like maybe 6 or 8 trips to water the garden because it's kind of dry then. So.
So you would carry water in a bucket in the wagon to water the fields, then, huh?
Yes.
One of the early irrigation systems, huh?
Yeah. There was a spring close by where the garden is about to dry out, so then I have to carry water from the well, the pump.
And so your whole family helped to plant the garden?
Yes. And then haying time too. There's a hay mower and a hay rake. So my father and mother work on those with the horses, and when the rake pull it to the one place, then we made a stack. Sometimes I have to be standing on top and pack the grass down, the hay.
And did you have a lot of brothers and sisters?
I do, but they all died when they were infant.
So in those early days, you had enough water to keep your gardens going.
Yeah.
And so maybe you would share a little bit about as time went along and the Depression came, it became more difficult. Do you have any early memories of the Depression coming to the area?
Back in 34, 35 or 36, it's quite dry and then there's hardly any hay, but my father managed to make hay. Where the vein is, then there's some grass there. So he made only a little bit hay, but anyway, it lasts through winter. That time just windy every day, blowing sand.
And were you able to keep your horses and cattle through the drought?
Yes. Of course, in fall, my father usually sheep the calves.
So they jerked the meat and had enough food for winter, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they butcher cow too, and my mother made dry meat and keep that through winter.
Mm-hmm.
And vegetables too, and potatoes.
And so in your garden, what different kinds of vegetables did you have? Corn and potatoes?
Squash, carrots, turnips.
And so from your earliest days, they were doing the gardening there, huh?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And that's something the family enjoyed?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have watermelon?
Yes.
And so your mom, she taught you how to jerk the meat?
She did, but I never do a good job. Mine were always small.
And then what kind of berries did you have around the Grand River?
Chokecherry and juneberries and gooseberries, plum.
Did you have any buffalo berries down that way?
Yes.
And what did they do with the berries then when they got them?
They-
Different ways of preserving them?
They just dry them. My mother dried them and used them as a pudding. Ojapi.
And then you had different animals besides horses and cattle at your place?
No, just horses and cattle and chicken, dogs, or turkey.
And so what part did you play every day when it came to doing the chores?
Oh, just play with my dolls and do reading and walk around.
And so when it came to like getting the eggs or feeding the chickens or anything like that, was that something that someone else did?
Yeah, I usually gather eggs.
Uh-huh. And so what was it like at Christmas time?
When I was a girl, my father usually take, or both of them, get Christmas tree, two of them, one small and one big one. And then they put them in a church. The small one gives to everybody, but the big ones everybody brought gives and put that on. So they're doing that all day, and I was patiently waiting at home with my grandmother. And then next day when it's ready, then we go. And there's some lady folks that were there, do the cooking the chicken and making fried bread. And then we got Christmas service at the church, and then pass around the gifts, and then we all stay there, and then they somebody write names, and they call them that they go to another building to eat until everybody went to eat.
did they decorate the tree with?
Well, garland and I think the bulbs. And then there's no lights that time, so they use candle, but just to decorate with it. Candle with the holder. And then garland around the inside the church, and by the window on each side, my father usually put Christmas tree branches, and then they hang apples down with string. So whoever wants to, after it's over, then they take those apples.
And so did you learn how to sing some of the Christmas carols?
Yes.
Did they sing them in Lakota?
Yes.
Duchesneau member, a brother of the old chairman, the brother was buried last week on the scaffold. And so they're coming back to the old way again. But, perhaps you might be willing to share if you know anything about that.
No, I don't really know. I know they do a long time ago, but I don't know when they start to bury them. I didn't know that.
But I thought maybe you could share a little bit about what you had seen. In my book, I want to refer just a little bit to that because it was discussed and you found a good picture of that also.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can talk a little bit about that. And also what they did when they lost a family member, what the family did. Would that be all right with you to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I know what they told me, that they had to not fast, but then mourning for one whole year, and then they stay away from Indian dance and stuff. Seems that pleasure for 1 year, and then they do gave away. But now they, I think they're just mourning like 3 days or 10 or a month, but they have to wait till 1 year, and then they do gave away. So a long time ago, the mothers or sisters, they were black a whole year. But now just a few of them do that.
And so they grieved for 1 year and then they had the giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yes.
memorial. And so what else did they do right after right after losing a relative?
Well, a long time ago, the ladies usually cut their hair short, and then they slash their arms or legs. But that's a long time ago. Just a few of them cut their hair now too.
And so did they tell you anything about how they would take the hair and keep the spirit of the person?
No.
But what was it your mother said about the way they buried them up on the scaffold?
That's my grandparents, the one that told me that. Either on a tree or branch, or else they put poles and they made it like a bed on top, and they buried them up there. For warriors, I can think they killed their horse and by the scaffold.
And did they say what they put with the warriors?
No, that I didn't know.
Was a woman ever buried that way?
Scalpel? Yes, they do. And I think they usually bury them with their clothes or whatever valuable too.
on their journey.
Yes, and then food. They put food there too. I don't know, on the scalpel or below, I don't know where, but that's what they do.
Did they ever tell you what kind of foods they would leave?
Yes, like meat and wasna and whatever they eat those time of days.
Were there any kind of ceremonies that were done at the burial?
Yes, I think they do.
Prayer ceremony.
And I don't know if the man is medicine man or chief or whatever. Could kind of pray for them again.
And so did they have the tradition that when they lost a family member, they gave away everything in the house?
Yeah.
Right at that time?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could explain why it is that they did that.
I think that whatever they treasure, they liked, and they either they bury them or else they burn them up. Some of them.
So then did your people have certain songs, memorial songs that they kept year
Yeah.
after year?
Mm-hmm.
Were there drum groups at that time, like they have today, that would sing the honor songs and the memorial songs?
I think just one man usually sing.
So the man would sing and he'd probably have a hand drum, but not one of the big powwow drums, huh?
Yeah, sometimes they just sing without drum, and sometimes they use that hand drum.
And so today at Grand River, are they? Is there a group there that carries that on?
There's a drum group now. Some of them, I guess, they go to participate in powwows or else army and the drum group usually sang honor song.
So maybe you can, is there anything else you can remember about those early years from your grandparents, things that they wanted you to remember?
The only thing was that my father's mother, because my father's grandfather, is a medicine man. Eagle Nicholas is his name. And he's the medicine man, so he know the roots, how to heal. But instead of gave it to his sons, he gave it to my grandmother. But my grandmother never used it. She kept some of the medicine and some of them. She knew the root, but then she didn't use it. So she didn't pass it on to my father. So it stopped there.
They really discouraged them from doing that, didn't they, in those days? I think it was hard for people to feel that they should pass that down because it was so heavily censured.
Mm-hmm.
So his name was Eagle Necklace?
Yes.
And he was from the Grand River area also?
Yes, that time they're roaming around, so they're in South Dakota and North Dakota and Montana. They're just roaming around.
Are there any stories you'd like to share about him during his lifetime and the special things that he did for the people?
That I didn't really know. I know just that he's a medicine man, and he's done that. What he had to pray to before he killed eagle, to use the feather.
So they would take an eagle for their ceremony?
Yeah.
Did they ever talk about how he went about doing that?
No. My grandmother told me about it, but you know, I was just a girl that time, so I don't remember some of those things.
But mainly that he would pray and then take an eagle for ceremony, huh?
Yeah, and then he used the feathers.
So that was probably his helper, the eagle.
Mm-hmm.
Was he alive when you were alive?
Yeah.
Was he still living?
No, you mean my great-grandfather? He died back in 1898, I think.
Were there any other family members that your mom or your grandma shared with you about who did special things for the people?
No.
Had special roles?
No,
responsibilities?
I don't remember that.
Well, you were sharing earlier about when the drought came. We had a depression and a drought, and it was very hard on the people at Standing Rock and down the Cheyenne River. Everything dried up. And maybe you could share a little bit about how you were able to keep water on your land there.
The river is just a small stream. At times, some places it's dry. So anyway, we have a well, so the cattle and horses will drink from there. And then towards noon, if you look up in the sun, and those grasshoppers, a lot of grasshoppers flying up there. And those are the ones that eating up the crop too.
And so did you do gardening during those years when the drought was so
Yes,
bad
but
and
then,
the grasshoppers were so bad?
Yeah, the grasshoppers just eating up leaves.
But you were able to still save your garden?
Yeah, on that in the ground, like potatoes and carrots and stuff, but they eat up the leaves.
You could save the roots though.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you remember the war years? Did you have any family that was involved with the First World War or the Second World War or any of the other wars that came along?
Just Second World War. I have 3 cousins that went, and one got killed over there. David Cedar Boy is his name.
Cedar Boy?
Cedar Boy.
Do you remember when that happened, or maybe you can tell about that?
Well, that's about 1945, I think. His father lived a little ways from Boston. I guess he's gotten, I don't know how he got the notice, but anyway, he came over. And he went down to Bullhead. So when they brought his body back, then we went to the funeral.
They took him to Bullhead?
Yes, they brought him back to Bullhead, this Episcopal Cemetery.
Were they able to have a military funeral for him, a flag and
Yeah.
21 gun salute?
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to go to the funeral?
Yes, we went. After he got killed, and then sometimes after that, they brought him back.
And so did you have family that were involved with the other wars that came along, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and this latest in Saudi Arabia?
Back in '69, I think, two of my nephew went into Marines, and a cousin of mine, my cousin got killed over there too, Conrad the Flying Horse. And then my nephews were John and Joe Flying Horse.
And what was their last name again?
Flying Horse.
And your nephews came back okay?
Yes, both of them.
Was there anything special that the tribe did when they came home then?
Yes, they brought him back here at the airport, and John came back with the body. So when they got him down from the plane, then John walked first, and then the military, veterans, have warm bonnet on and carry the casket. And when outside at the airport, I think the drum group were singing.
Did they bury him down at Bullhead also?
In McIntosh, South Dakota.
And so do you remember when you were a young girl and the World War was going on, were there special things that they did in your community to help the war effort?
I don't really know, but Second World War, I think some of them went for defense workers, I think. They worked down at Back Hill someplace.
You were doing something different at that time?
No, nothing.
And so maybe you shared earlier a little bit about your growing up days and going through school and about getting your GED and starting your work career. And so is there anything you'd like to share about your working years? Some of the things you did as you started working?
Well, after I dropped out, and then back in '48 when I got married, but my marriage doesn't work out, so I got my divorce and I raised my children. But we live on welfare, and then if I get lease money, then they budget it for me, so I couldn't use my lease money to buy new furniture or nothing. So I was wishing I have a job, but I know I need more education, so that's why I came to school here. Now working. Then I'm out from the welfare and earn my own money and then raise my boys.
So where were you able to get your GED then?
Macintosh. That's when we lived there about 4 years. So 69 is when I got my GED. And I was surprised I passed. So then I work on it to come to school over here, but it take a while. I think I started in the fall, work on it, and I didn't come until July of 70.
And so back in those days, did they have a lot of good educational programs for the young people to get education?
No, they just start this year, United Tribes. And there used to be one at Roswell, New Mexico, I think. And there's another one that they have at San Diego, California. A few of them went over there.
And so then after you got your GED, what was your first job like?
Head Start program, just summertime. Teacher's aide.
And then it was the Department of Transportation?
I worked here first at the daycare center for about 4 years, and then January of '76 when I got that job, district office, district shop they call it, and I operate a two-way radio. I do everything, reception, typing.
Did you like working there?
Yes, I love it. I just know that people like they're my own people.
And so back a ways, they began the dam projects around the Missouri River. And maybe you could share a little bit. Do you have some memories of when they began talking about flooding the area with the dams and having to move some of the communities?
Yes, I heard about it.
Maybe you could share what that was like when the people first heard that this was going to happen.
Yeah, and people are talking about it, and then I know some of the people from Cannonball moved up the hill, away from the river.
And what kind of things were they saying back then early along?
Well, they said the river, or the water would back up. And later we could see that. All the trees were standing in the water.
And then the old Fort Yates got flooded.
Yeah.
Were you around there at that time?
No, I live in South Dakota.
So where you were living, it didn't really affect you then? You weren't anywhere near the dam?
I think down in South Dakota, we live at the country, north of Isabel, South Dakota. But we don't have TV that time, just radio. And then people are talking about it.
And so did that go along for a long time before they did finally put the dam in?
Yes.
Talking back and forth?
Mm-hmm. They talk about Oahe Dam.
Can you share anything about what some of the discussions were about?
No, some people didn't like it because, it'd be flooding and they have to move.
So have you participated a lot in powwows and Indian dances over the years?
Yeah, we used to go to powwows for jays and shields and bullhead and liligo. And we travel in wagon.
And so when you were a little girl, did they teach you how to dance
No,
certain dances?
no, I just watch.
Uh-huh. Have any of your family been certain dancers at the powwows?
No, they usually just, watch too.
Did you get involved with any of the beadwork and those different kinds of things
No,
that were done?
my grandmother used to make moccasins, beading them. She made her own designs too.
She made moccasins for everyone in the family, huh?
No, just herself.
And so when you're growing up, did you wear the traditional clothing, or did you get accustomed to wearing?
No, just clothing. And then we have cattle, so sometimes I wear jeans and when I round up the cattle and horses. And then when we pick cherries too, I have to wear jeans because of snakes.
And so when you So when you were a little girl, it was okay to wear blue jeans, huh?
Yes.
And did your mom do a lot of sewing, or your grandmother?
My mother does. She made quilts and clothes, dresses for herself and dresses for me.
Is that something that you learned later?
Yes.
You do some quilt making these days, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us about when you first made your very first star quilt?
Yes, when I didn't know anything about it, but I tried to make star quilt in it. You have to put bias and straight together all the way. I didn't know that, so I put all straight together. So some of that looks like a banana. And I talked to a lady about it that I know, and she showed me how. So after that, I used to sew like that, and it came out okay.
So you're still making star quilts, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So when you were a small child, did they have a lot of people that made star quilts?
No,
Is
not
that
very
a
many.
tradition around the Grand River area?
No, I don't think so. They just usually make patch quilts. Just sew blocks or else. They call it, patch around the roll, I think they call it.
And they did all their work by hand, or did you have
Yes,
machines by then?
some of them work by hand. My mother had a machine. You have to operate with your feet.
Treadle sewing machine, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. They said it was the Santee people that first started the star quilts and brought them up this way. The Yanktonese people started that tradition. Before that, they weren't making star quilts up here. They came later.
Mm-hmm.
So were there other things that were made for the people back in those days that your grandmother and your mother made?
And just those quilts, they call it patch quilts and blocks.
And did they work with hides much, or have like buffalo robes
No,
or elk or deer hides that they used?
deer hide. I think my grandmother usually used those to make moccasins.
They weren't using the buckskin dresses in those days.
Yeah, they make some of them make those. I usually see them, and the rest of them is just Indian dress, just navy blue kind of wool, and sew ribbons around the cuff and then at the hem. In winter time, we use a coal stove. My mother had a coal land. So, and when that Lisa usually brought us some coal that keep us warm. But it just wood. It's just late at night it's cold.
So you use coal?
Mm-hmm.
They have some of that around here, don't they?
Yeah.
It was easier to get than the wood in this area, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you were born, what kind of a house did they have?
Log
Did they have a
house.
frame house by then, or a log house?
No, log house. Log house, but I was born in a tent, that new style tent.
Born in a one-room tent, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Like Martin was. He was born in a one-room tent.
Yeah.
What are some of the first memories you have of living there?
No, I remember a few things. One was I have a metal crib, and then I know my mother was nursing me and put me down in that crib to sleep. That's all I remember. And then another time, I tried to help myself with rice soup and spill on myself. I always remember that.
They made rice soup for the little ones, huh?
But that for everybody. And it's in a big kettle in the middle of the table, so I must be hungry because I stood up on my high chair and put some in my bowl, and some I spilled on myself.
Let's demonstrate emotions such as sadness or anger.
They've never been angry. They just talk to each other about it. And as for sadness, whenever a loved one passed away, then they cried.
They didn't express anger then in the family at all in those days?
No.
And so did they teach you about that at all?
Yes, my grandmother did.
Maybe you can share some of the things that she taught you about behaving that way.
When I'm angry, I'm not supposed to take it out on anything. Just, I guess, quiet myself down again.
And did she give you any suggestions on how you could quiet yourself down if you were upset about something?
And just forget about whatever happened. Think about other things.
And so how did they live with Okachiopo, or helping one another?
Oh,
Did they teach you about helping one another?
yes, whenever somebody needs something and if I could afford it, then I'm supposed to help out.
What kind of things came up when you were a small child that you learned about helping people?
No, my mother usually helped out people with food. We used to have chickens, so she usually gave them kill a chicken, gave it to them. Whatever they need, then she helped out.
During the time of the Depression, did you have food that you gave away a lot at your place?
Yes, I think so. Because we still have gardening, potatoes and.
And so were there other ways that they helped one another besides giving food?
Yeah, like if somebody is poor and doesn't have enough clothes, then they give them clothes.
In those days, did they always make all of their own clothes?
Yes.
Were there other ways that they helped too? Like with the farming or the haying?
No, I guess they notice it. Whoever needs something.
And so who was the oldest person you knew? Maybe you could share some things that you remember about them.
And there's one lady that my mother's cousin named Blanche Pine. She died when she was 105, January 21st, 1996. When she was 100 years old, she still could talk, she still could cook for herself. But starting in 93, she was in a nursing home, and she died there.
And so when you were younger, what did you remember about her?
I know I always see her around when we go to a Catholic church and we'll get together, and she's there.
What did she used to do to help out the people when she was younger?
I don't know. All I remember is that she's helping at the church.
And so who was the elder outside your family that had the most positive influence on your life?
Yeah, there's a grandmother, my mother's cousin, I guess. Her name is Mrs. Longbow is her name. She's the one that tell me things and gave me advice. And there's an aunt, my uncle's wife. He died, but she married to somebody else, but they still come around. She always tell me things too, and gave me advice.
So you were kind and compassionate people.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to share some of the advice that they told you?
Yeah, just like how to get along. But marriage life, that grandmother told me that when I'm married, I'm not supposed to look for another man because I have a husband, and that's supposed to be for keep. She said that your grandparents are always together, and your mother and your parents always together. She said, and your grandpa here and myself always together. We never leave each other. She said. she said they never have another friend like my grandpa have a girlfriend or she have a boyfriend. Since they're married, they keep it secret, I guess that way. And my aunt told me to told me about honor the father and mother, and we're supposed to listen to them.
And so what advice do you have for your children and grandchildren, for today's children and grandchildren?
Yeah, what they told my my aunt and grandmother told me, I usually told my grandchildren. That's the way it's supposed to be, passed on to next generation. But it stopped since that people get to drink liquor, and they forgot about it to give advice to their children.
And so the alcohol, did you see that all during your years being used in the community, or is that something that came later?
Yes, they do, and I know. I used to see them. Some man folks drink, and they kind of act silly until I'm married to one. Then it's just a kind of he was abusing me. That's why I had to leave him. And when I lived in McIntosh, it's worse because my daughter and my oldest son, both of them died. Those two and then my nephew. They go to the bar and then after midnight the bar is closed and they bring people home. And then we will have a 6-pack to drink. Then they'll go. But pretty soon the room is loud, and all that time they hide a case outside, case of beer, and they brought it in. So that's why I had to get away too. So I worked toward it, and I came to school over here and stay away from reservation.
So, what are some of the ways of disciplining the child? Some of the older ways your grandparents taught you?
They just talk to them verbally, but the children, the grandchildren understand.
And they never hit them or yelled at them or things like that. They talked patiently with them.
They usually just they said like in boogeyman. In Indian is different word. Will get them, so they understand what kind of thing they talk about it. So they listen.
So when a child did wrong, they wouldn't get upset. They would just talk to them and
Yeah.
give them advice.
Yeah.
And so what values should continue to be taught to young people today?
Well, the parents have to talk to their children, because that's their they're supposed to do that in. They have to be responsible for their children. Talk to them at the wrong things and the right things, what to avoid, and tell them they love them.
values that need to be taught these days?
Yeah, I think so.
And
No.
so,
And also they have to stay home when the children go to school, so they come home and get to eat, and where there's love from the parents. But nowadays, some of them are at the bingo or else someplace else drinking. So the kids went home with nobody there, and that's kind of sad situation.
what advice do you have for today's parents then?
I guess that they have to teach their children. If they remember their grandparents, what they told them, if they remember them, they can give them advice and for generation to generation.
Can you remember some special areas or you related with the chapters that you read from Martin's life?
No.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
My name is Agatha Pooh Bear. I'm Cannonball, born February 15th, 1925, and I'm 73 years old today. And I know I like to tan deer hides. I've did a lot of tanning, and I also like to sew. Many of them seen my sewing. I like to sew star quilt, pat quilt, satin quilt. Well, these are my main hobby, I guess you call it. But those are the things that I like to do in my life, throughout my life. Beadwork, I learned it from my mother, from my grandmother. My grandmother's name was Mary Big Moccasin, and my dad's name is Francis Ireland. My mother's name is Martha Ireland. Ashley, her maiden name. My grandfather is Thomas Ashley, originally from Fort Thompson, but he got married up here. And my mother's mother, Agnes Holy Horse, she was original from Poplar, but they got married in, what's that place, Carl, Virginia, someplace they went to school a long time ago, and they got married over there, and they went back to Poplar, and well, they decided to live halfway because he was from Fort Thompson and she was from Poplar. So at that time, when they came back here, they were giving out lands then at that time. So they picked out a land and they made their homestead there. And that's where my mother came from there. She was the only child in their family. So as far as I know, my grandpa's name was Whiteshield, Wachikaska. That was the only name he had. No first name, nothing, just that. Many things that he told that I heard. I was young, but still I heard those things like Sundance, Medicine Man. I've seen what they were doing, him and his singers. And I've always heard them saying that he said that he started when he was 19 years old. He started with the medicine. But he had to, in order to know this, that he wanted to be a medicine man, he had to go out and fast and pray. And not only just that once, he went many times, I guess, that's what he said, in order to know where he stand, if he really could be a medicine man. While he was out there, he was explaining to others that wanted to go out fast and pray. He said, you have to go out there and stand on the hill and pray. And stand still, because while you're standing praying, he said, there'll be all kinds of things coming to you that's going to try to scare you away. But you stand still. Stand. This is where a lot of them run. When they come to the point, the last day, he said, there will be somebody, the Spirit will talk to you. And a lot of them run from that Spirit, because he said that this man, the Spirit that talks to them, had a powerful voice, very powerful. And they don't see him, he just talks, they hear his voice. And he said that was the Wakantrika. The Holy Spirit talks to them, he tells them what to do. He tells them which route they have to look for. Well, those things take place. When he does talk, well, some of these boys, men folks that go out and pray, they can't stand it, they get scared and they run, and they don't finish their praying. Well, that's the way my grandpa had always tell others that are trying to be getting in on that too. They want to be medicine man and good singers. They pray for good singers too. Well, he tells them that. And then he said, you can't use alcohol. You have to be clean, your feet, your head, mind. And I think it was really holy to me, the way they talk, you know. Well, these are the things that my grandpa had always tell. He said, I worked my way up since I was 19 years old. He said, I went through a lot too. He said, time when I have to doctor somebody, I have to fast and pray, stand out in the hill, pray. And then the last time, he said, he remembered where he hit a hard spot. That time they were still camping here, there, and here and there. While they were at one place, and he said, he mentioned about this Mount Helen. When they were out there, they camped out there. And he talked about that volcano them days way back. But they didn't realize what it was, but they seen it there. Shoots out. Well, right after that, he said that year they camped there. And here in the chicken pox came out, whooping cough. Everybody was dying. One of his cousins that used to make fun of him when he was trying to be a medicine man, he used to make fun of him. Oh, he said, this man wants to be a medicine man. And he laughed about it. And here, he's the one that came into his tent. He said, Tanshi, he said, my cousin, do something, he said. Say something. Doctor these people, he said. The people are dying off, he said. We buried 21 of them this morning. We examined a new maji henakja, we chow copy, he said. Oh, hey. So my grandpa said, all right. But tomorrow I'll give you an answer. So my grandpa went out that night. He stood out in the hill. He prayed. Pretty soon, the Spirit talked to him. And here he told him to take his own file. Them days they used to have some little stones about this long, about 5 inches long or so. They're red, They have them days, long time ago, to file their knives, And there he told him to take that and cut it in half. And then 3 more slices. That's the way the Spirit told him. So he came back that morning. He tried his knife, cut it. He cut that stone. So he cut it 3 more slices. Cut it. Well, that they told him to take 2 of them slices and file it down and boil it. So he did. When he got through boiling that, he said he tasted. Oh, he said it was really bitter. He didn't know if them people could drink it, but he said that's the way they told him. So well. His cousin came, so he told him the medicine's ready. So he had a little cup. He gave it to everybody down at whooping cough. Chicken pox. There was black measles mostly that was killing them. So he gave it to them.
All right. So you were talking about that he gave that tea to everybody, and they also had black measles.
Yeah, they had black measles. Oh, and anyway, Sedona, my grandfather said that that was one of the tough time he had to give medicine to a lot of people. But he was a great medicine man on the northern side. I don't remember the way he talked. And I also remember he said, my granddaughter said, why are you scared of me? I used to be scared of him because he sits down on the floor. He never did sit on a chair or a couch or nothing, He has a gray blanket sheet over him, tied around here. It sits like this. He could see and all that, but yet, he sits like that. And then we lived 5 miles from town that time, We were taking care of him. So he used to say, I heard him saying that, Yeah, he told my mother, I'll cut up. He said, put on coffee, cook something. He said, these people are coming out. He named certain people. And just think that then people get to our home. Just like, a fortune teller. Sit there, and I used to be just scared of him the way he talks sometimes. Well, he was a great man. I hear him telling about he has his singers. He has a group of singers that sing now and then sacred songs, spiritual songs, Sundance songs. And when he's gonna moving to some direction to a doctor, somebody where they sing a certain song too. And then when they ask him to pray for somebody who had lost a set of team horses, brand new harness on a farmer. So he prayed that night. I remember that he prayed that night. That next morning, just early like this, he got up and he said, "Chush," he said, "daughter, I'm gonna go today." He said, "I'm leaving." He was getting ready though. He was getting cleaned up, putting different clothes on. He said, "These farmers are gonna take me someplace." He said, "I know where these horses are at." He said, "So I see the land." He said, "I know where the land is." He said, "I recognize it." And he said those in Indian. Makoche duktet on it. Sure, Kangana Najik be one badakache. I seen them horses standing there, so I'm going with them over there. Sure enough, the superintendent and others came, and the farmer that wanted him to look for them horses, he went with them. Yeah, they found the horses. I remember he did that. And he did great many things, doctoring other people. He had some good medicine man. He was a good medicine man. And when he died after that, it seemed like there's nobody to me that really was a dedicated life to live. The doctor, our Indian people, we had good medicine. He had good medicine. Well, when he died, January 1st, 1944, when he died, before he died, just like he knew it too, maybe he does, but that day I was only 17 years old, so I didn't really understand. He was telling my mother he wanted to wear his buckskin outfit. When he dies, he wants to wear them. So that's just the way they did. When he was going to die too, he pulled his trunk out and he showed all the medicine to my mother. Read it out to her. He sat on the floor. In Indian, they were written, them little bundles, different medicine like that, he was telling her. But, he said, "I looked at you, my daughters. You have 2 sons, but," he said, "they like to use fire water." He meant alcohol. "We can't use fire water. Can't do that. You have to live a sober life. So your sons can't use these medicines. And nobody else can, I don't think," he said. But he said, "When I die, you take this and bury it." So my mother and I buried that trunk. I know where it's at. So when I go to Poplar, we were living in Poplar then, Montana. When I go to Poplar now, they're all trying to make me dig it out, but I never did, because my grandpa didn't say that. He didn't say they could have it. He said, "Just bury it, because nobody can take care of it. You have to take care of your medicine good." And there's more to that medicine too. When you have the medicine bag inside, you can't have girls with menstruation running around in there. Just think that. That's how strict they were. You can't have that medicine bag in there and have those girls run around with menstruation. Or if he doctors somebody, there's nobody that's around there, that's got menstruation. Their monthly period, they can't be around, because he said that when they do that, it makes them worse instead of getting well. They break out right away too with rash. So he don't allow anybody like that. So hey, that was that. I know that. And the last time he had Sundance was here, 1938, during the time of Depression. Him and some other people from here, Bears Heart, Fowler's Road, Thunderhogs, Punga, even old man Punga danced that time. And they danced 3 days, 3 nights, without eating, just drinking water, and dance. That time, they did that. He told his followers, the dancers, he said, if we're gonna get an answer, he said, from our country, he said, we're gonna see late this afternoon water on that tree. Water will be coming out. And if we don't get any answer, our prayers are not answered. Told that to the dancers. So they danced. Middle, right after dinner, sometimes after dinner, sometimes there, all of a sudden, the water was coming out. So that was the answer to their rain. They wanted rain, and that's why they danced. Oh, that afternoon, late that afternoon, it really rained. That whole camping area for Sundance, I think they all got flooded out. They had so much rain, you know, they couldn't believe it because it hardly ever rained. Everything was dry. Farmers were moving out. Farmers, they didn't stay around. They all kind of left. Just a few were here. Their cattle were dying off. See, that's why they danced. When I was the last time my grandpa had his Sundance down here, it used to be so beautiful down here. If it wasn't for this overhead, those things would have been still standing. But our councilmen went ahead and gave up, so we lost our power ground. Wild foods, wild animals that we like to live on, that's all gone. If you, through this, some of them wanted to live the Indian way, like this Indian culture. Maybe they'll learn to respect. I see young kids today have no respect anymore. No more, they're lost. They don't know which way to turn because of us parents. We don't teach them. It should have been this way. We should tell them that. But we didn't do that, so we just let them have their way. And I don't like this child abuse program that's running. This is why we can't control our kids. Because the minute we couldn't get after what them do, they're smart, the young kids. They run to the law right away, have their parents arrested. But this thing, a long time ago, it's never been like that. I know my mother used to, when she don't like something, I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters that time. She makes us sit down at the table. I never did see her hit any of us, my mother. My dad, too. Never. But she used to do the talking to us. She tell us what she don't like. And then we have to do better than that. And then one thing she used to tell us, never quarrel at the table. Sit down, be happy. Be happy what you're eating. Even if it's just bread and coffee. Be happy. So that's it. If you want to do any kind of quarreling or arguing, wait till you get outside. Those are the things that she taught us. I thought that was good. I remember today my mother, when I see some families, I go to them, the young kids, they don't mind their parents, they argue them. I think about my mother, what she used to tell us. And that's what we need to do as a parents. Us parents need to start telling our kids now. That's just what I said down here at the powwow. They want to go the traditional way, but we didn't tell them the right way what to do. So they just cut across and carrying a bag around and carrying a pan around with smudging wherever they go. No, it's not all that. Smudging is a purpose, to clean your spirit, to clean yourself. Well, those are those things that they have to tell them, but they fail. What the kids want to be, nobody don't tell them outright the truthful way what you have to do. You can't use dope, you can't use alcohol. So they just kind of get it mixed up, and I think it's getting worse. I feel sorry for even a district meeting, I tell them that. We need to get right with these kids. Talk to them, you parents. Because at a district meeting, kids too, they like to be there, listen and know, but yet they still don't know how even that, council meetings. So we need to, that's the way I look at it, we need to talk to our children. The way I kind of glance through that, we do need to talk to the children. Right away too, because so many of them are lost. So many of them are. This is why we have suicide, but as people we really don't understand. They don't know which way to look. Financial, spiritually, all these take place, but rightfully they don't tell them. That's why they don't know what to do with their life. They commit suicide. We had so many suicides in South Dakota, McLaughlin area. I really feel bad. They're young, they got long life ahead of them, yet they have to do that. So that at my age, I realized that we need to get together with them, talk to them. You'd be mighty surprised sometimes I get together with kids on the road when I'm walking. They come. And you know, they tell me that it's the parents who neglect them. They cry on my shoulder, crying. And I have to stand and pray with them. Sometimes the kids get together and they call me to their home and I go into their home while the parents are gone to bingo, whatever they're doing. Sit there and talk to the young girls, and it's mostly young girls that I talk to. Hardly any boys come to me. But the young girls, they say that our mother don't care for us, our dad, they go all the time. What can we do? We have to just stay home and look when they're going to come back. Some of them come back drunk. Some of them go to bingo. They stay over there all day long. That's at the beginning. I didn't like this casino. I really fought against this casino, but yet they put it up. We need to, if they want to live the Indian way, the Indian culture, the Indian praying, we need to all get together. All of us. That is the district, the 7th district. Get all the kids together, not here and here, there, not that, but get all of them together and explain it to them and pray. It might help them to come out of that shell of being addicted, alcoholic. I don't know, that's the way I look at it. If I had the chance and the power, I would. But again, there's too many of them that are Sundance leaders. They want to run Sundances. But there's too many of us standing out like this who can't seem to get together. A long time ago, my grandpa White just said, all the people get together. They have that Sundance. There was nobody better than the other. And they all, he used to say, the main thing that you could earn, like earning, get to that medicine is to humble yourself. That's what I was trying to tell him down here. You have to humble yourself. If you're looking to the Wakantrika, you gotta humble yourself. If somebody come and slap you, show the other cheek, just like the Bible. But today you can't do that. When somebody hits you, rather you want to fight. They didn't say that. My grandpa didn't say that. You have to humble yourself. I know that's what he said he went through. His cousins, they all make fun of him, but he don't say anything. He don't answer them. Don't say anything. Afterwards, they always come to him and want his help. But the main thing was to humble yourself and love. Help one another. Help. Don't treasure nothing in your whatever you have. No, look at those. You have to give up and look to that Wakantrika and pray. See, this is what happened with Sitting Bull, because he's always praying, praying, praying. My dad used to say that. He lived till he was 98. He told me that many times Sitting Bull never did go out on warrior to go out look for scouting for the enemies. He never did go. He's always at home praying all the time. That's where he seen this vision from praying, that they were gonna have a hard time, or if they're gonna run into something, and then they knew that Custer was appearing to them. He knew that way ahead of time, and he got ready for it. He was a smart man, Sitting Bull. Humble. He wasn't out to kill. That's why my dad said he never did go. When they go out, stayed at the teepee and pray all the time. And the last ghost dance he had was, he wanted to find out if there was a greater man above us, higher than us. So they had ghost dance. Right here someplace, I'm standing on one of the flats. That was the last ghost dance too he had, I guess, from the way my dad was telling. And they had ghost dance. They were dancing. But they wanted to know if there was really a God or a country God. So they danced. In them days, they had security guiding them, but there was no car. They were on horseback. So the securities were around there guiding them. They were standing there. All of a sudden, one night, way up in the sky like that, just like a little ice cube, coming down. It was coming down. And they recognized it was coming towards that flat. So these horsebacks went to security. They got over there and here a pure little white buffalo. Pure white buffalo. And there's a book on that story there called A White Buffalo Robe by Calvin Kelly. He wrote that book. And here pure white buffalo yearling. And he came back, he told the others, there was a lot of campers, so he told the others they went over there and to kill that buffalo. They believed that was the answer. They kept that white buffalo. They tried that little white buffalo robe. Well, that was the answer for us Sioux, that there is somebody greater than us. So when they said that after that, they took that hide, that white buffalo robe is in Washington today. It's over there in the office someplace over there. Because there was a medicine man who went over there, this Calvin Kelly went over there and they had ceremony. And just think, they took that old man over there to do ceremony over there, to find the strongest balm. They wanted him to find a formula. So he did. They had ceremony over there, and here Calvin Kelly told that they showed him that robe that one of them high officials brought it in. He said, Grandpa, he said, this buffalo robe has been laying here over 100 years now. Little over 100. He laid it there. So then that old man said, my grandson, he said, tell these men, number one, they're going to see something, he said. So then he started singing his spiritual song. Took his little drum, started singing that spiritual song. About the middle of his song, that buffalo robe stood up like it was alive. Whistling, making all kind of noise. He was jumping here. There's all this high officials was in there. They were in there. They all ran for the door. They was trying to go out. When he got through singing, well, that robe just lay down again. I said, that's number one. Tell him that. He was the interpreter for that old man, Calvin Kelly. So he told him. And then high officials were really scared, I guess. And here, well, he said, number two, he said, tell him, he said, we'll find the biggest bomb that will protect our country here. They told him they need a bomb so that they could protect the United States. So he said yes in Indian. So again he started singing his spiritual song. They were singing, he was singing. And Calvin Kelly said, he doesn't even, he thought he was sitting there watching that old man. See, he was doing his ceremony right on the floor, singing. He was sitting there singing his spiritual song. So he was looking at him. He said, I watched every minute of that old man. I watched him. I sat there. He said, I don't know how that white slip of paper was found there, but there was a white slip of paper there. And here, that was the formula to that bomb, atomic bomb. And you know, the government never did say that this old man found the formula to that bomb. I never did hear it. Ever since this happened in 1940, I heard that. I was only 15 years old then. But I never, from that day on, I never hear any news from the Congress or over there, the government, that ever said that what this medicine man from Pine Ridge found the formula to atomic bomb. I never did hear it. Never. So that's the way it went. When they found that formula to atomic bomb, so these high officials took that formula and they went out. They told him to wait. I guess they gave them room and all that. They paid for their meals, so they stayed at that one place. They went. Calvin Kelly said he went with them wherever they went to test that, try it out. He said when they got there, when they tried a little one, I guess, a little one, but it was really powerful. So they figured it's going to be a good bomb. So they came back. He came back to that old man. He was at the hotel waiting. And then they, after they got through with that, they had dinner with the officials, and then they came back. But this here, that's what happened with the ghost dance, was Sitting Bull Sitting Bull, he was a good man, but through jealousy they killed him. It was our own people that did that. My dad used to say that. So from that time, our tribe, our people never trust the red tomahawks and the bullheads, because they were believed that they're the ones that killed him on a snake. They killed him, they shot him. So we lost a good man. I was think that if he was still living, maybe he would be living in the Indian way yet. I believe that. But see, right there, they just cut us off from everything. Put us into groups, into communities like this. If he was still alive, I believe he would still live the Indian way. Our own way. But the government had its hand over us after that. So from that time on, when he got killed, got shot, well, they stopped that ghost dance. See, that's what they didn't like him about, having that ghost dance. They find out what's going on and what's going to happen, you know. They said that when they dance, some of them fall in trance. They have dreams, they tell. That's what my dad was telling. So to me, I don't know, at my age now, I never thought about it, but to me now, sometimes I think about that, what happened to Sitting Bull in the ghost dance. I told his stories many places. They wanted to know, so I tell it. And here, that was the Holy Spirit that was speaking through them, huh? That's what I was thinking. He shows himself, he tells them. Way back, we knew the Holy Spirit, the Indians. But it's a strict walk. You have to keep yourself just so even sex, my grandpa said, can't be having sex all the time. Especially when you're going to go into ceremonies. 4 days before that, you got to be clean. All that. Same thing with the women. 4 days before that, if you have menstruation, you can't get in there. But if you don't have menstruation, 4 days before that, you can't have sex. You got to keep yourself clean in order to get into those ceremonies. But today, it's just in your way. And then when somebody's going to cut that tree for the Sundance, it's got to be a little girl that's a virgin. Or if they can't find a little girl that's a virgin, you get an old lady that don't have menstruation. Because he said that through our menstruations, we're dirty. We're dirty. So what's the blood that's coming out that's dirty in us? Violet or whatever it is in us, that was coming out. So we can't be in that Sundance, or we can't even go near it. So an old lady without menstruation could cut that tree and put it up. That's the way I was hearing him tell. But today, it's just in your way I hear teenagers that running around, cut a tree and put it up. They don't really realize that they're putting us through corruption. They don't know that. That's just like the sin fall on you or something like that. The white man's Bible, you know, this ministers, the way I understand it, talk the sin. When you sin, you have to get punished somehow. But that's something like it. A young a girl that's running around cutting a tree and put it up. I know my grandpa sure wouldn't agree with that. He'll just put her out. Even that Sundance singers, you have to be walking holy like them too, because if you drink and run around drinking and try to get in there and sing, he didn't allow that. No, can't do that. Because you'll make everything dirty. Shapa, wa'ashapa, they call it. You make everything dirty. Wa'ashapa. Shabunyapi. You make us dirty. Shabunyapi. You make us dirty. That's what it says. Well, I'm glad I could listen to my grandpa and my dad. I'm young, but I'm always hanging on with the old people. A long time ago, you know. Oh, what I liked was because they have apples and oranges. That was the only thing I used to try to hang around them just to get a bite, you know. But I'm glad I remember all these things, you know, I want to talk about. Glad. I didn't know that I was going to repeat these, you know, repeat these stories wherever I go. I didn't realize that. I mean, now, at my age, I'm doing all this. Not other people, but to my boys. I have 6 boys, and I was really talk to them about the Indian way. Really talk to them. Gotta learn how to have respect. Even if you got this coffee and bread, give it to them. You gotta open your door. When you live an Indian way, you got to open your door and give coffee to whoever that walks in your home. Or if you see another neighbor having a hard time, no groceries, even if you don't hardly have it, take something to eat for them. That's the way the Indian got along a long time ago. Help one another. They don't try to hang on to anything or be stingy. They help one another. They love each other a long time ago. It's not like that anymore today. It's really, we have cruel ways today. Sad. So I talk to the boys that way too, tell them. You boys are singing, so you have to do these things. Never be stingy to anybody, because the way I understand my grandpa always says that when you're stingy, hanging on to your food just a little bit, well, that's how much you're going to suffer. You're going to lose that much. You're going to have a hard time getting food. So when you leave your food open to anybody, you're going to get it somehow. Somebody's going to help you too. You'll be blessed, just like getting blessed. Those are the things I remember he used to say. My dad. But I think we should do that. Get all the kids together. 1, 2 days, maybe 3 days. All the communities to get them together in one spot. Talk to them, talk to them. It's really sad to me because we're going to hit this 2000, and what's going to happen after that? Here, that's the way I talk to them. You need to get on your knees and pray. You need to kneel down and pray. Because when we hit this 2000, I don't know what's going to happen. The way the world is going, you young kids hear it on the radio, fire, flood, earthquake, all over. And I believe the great man up here, the high man Wakantaka, punishing us because we don't listen. We don't pray, we don't look to him. Tell them, those kids, that humble yourself, kneel down and pray, because we don't know what's going to happen. And that's what we need to do, especially the young kids. Point them to one direction, maybe they'll find life. There's something else too that I've never heard them mention. Long time ago, people move around this, I'm going to talk about eating. They kill the buffalo and they kill and just take everything off. The hide, they take the hide, the meat, the women folks. I had that stone here, but my son took it. He found a stone about this big, and it had a groove where you could put that hammer. What's this? He said, this must be something. He said, I found this down bigger like he said. So I said, this stone here, you use it to crush bones, that buffalo bone. Crush it, all the bones with that big stone. And then they bring it to boil, the ladies, they boil it. And then in the evening they let it cool off. While the next morning when they look at it with that, that lard light, the grease lays on top while they take that. And they keep that for the wasna, the pumpkin. So hey, they do that.